Alrighty, good evening, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm an event facilitator here with McNally Robinson Booksellers. And before we begin, I would like to acknowledge that we are on Treaty 1 territory, and that the land on which we are gathered is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, Aninawak, Anishinaabe, Dakota, and Dene peoples, and the homeland of the Red River Métis. In addition, McNally Robinson Booksellers itself rests on the land that was once occupied by the Métis community of Roostertown. And of course, we are gathered to celebrate the launch of Blood Letters, a YA co-creation from Ariel Gordon and GMB Chomichuk. Which of course is published by Great Plains Press, I was practicing that, as part of their Yellow Dog imprint. You'll hear readings from both writers this evening, witness the creation of live art, and hear their thoughts on the collaboration in conversation hosted by Susie Moloney. Yay! So following the conversation, there will be an opportunity to have your book signed, just right over here at the signing table, which I'll go over a little later at the close of the event. But for now, I do have the pleasure of introducing our host for tonight. So Susie Moloney is the author of 4 novels of horror and supernatural: Bastion Falls, A Dry Spell, The Dwelling, and The 13. She has published a collection of short fiction, Things Withered. She continues to be published in journals and anthologies, and currently she is writing television and film in the genre. And you can see Bright Hill Road and is it Romy? Lovely. Wherever you rent movies. And she's working on a new novel, her first in 10 years. Right. Oh. So here,
first interview incoming.
And then
I'm nude in it.
So, and again, yeah, here to host tonight's event, please join me in welcoming Susie Moloney.
Thank you, Daniel. Everybody can hear me? Can you see me though? Daniel took a lot of my thunder there with his announcements. But welcome to the launch of Blood Letters. This is such a beautiful looking book. I'm sure by now you've all had an opportunity to take a look at it. It is a varied literary experience. It's an artistic experience, it's a literary experience, and it's brought to you, in my opinion, and I'm pretty sure I'm not alone, by 2 of the most creative minds in Canada and other worlds. There you go, yes. And I have known both of these people for 150 years, because we're all vampires. I have known Gregory since the early aughts. So I have known him. I met him through my son. I don't even know my son anymore, but I still find time to hang out with Gregory. And Ariel, I don't know, we were just moved in the same circles, but pretty much all our adult lives, would you say? Just about close. And that's one of the many, many things I love about the literary community here in Manitoba, is that we have all long memories. So there will be, as Daniel mentioned, there will be some dark shenanigans. We're going to have live art taking place. This is amazing. And this is actually, what a privilege, what a blessing to watch Gregory create something out of nowhere, right? You didn't plan this.
No plan.
This is raw, naked creativity right here. So, you know, when he does something really good, like a drum solo, that's what you got to do, right? Okay. So let's meet these fantastic artists. Start with Ariel. Ariel, she's a gatherer, a finder, a wood nymph, a woods sneaker, an occupier of urban jungles, a seeker of fungi, and an award-winning writer, editor, activist, and poet. And she is going to open the evening with her own reading from her beautiful brand new book, Blood Letters. Ariel, will you take your place?
There's no height difference between Susie and I at all.
I wear the big shoes.
I'm just wearing the flattest shoes I have. All right, so I am gonna read sort of an opening letter from early in the book, year 2, but I would be remiss if I didn't thank some of the people that really helped us out. I am so grateful to Great Plains, to all the people there for all their help and their trust in our strange little creation. I'd like to thank Samantha Bako, who was our editor and was similarly patient with all of our shenanigans. I'm waving to my family, never mind. And I'd like to thank Greg, who has badgered and bullied me to finish this book since 2017, which is shocking because we kept on thinking, oh yeah, we've only been working on this for a few years. And then he's like, it's 2017 is when we started. But what happened was we kind of worked on other books. We worked on this for a while, then we take a break, other deadlines would call. So it's not continuously since 2017. But here's the letter. I'm writing, it's an epistolary novel, so I'm writing from the point of view of the main character that I wrote, Kris, who was an eldest sibling, because who here is an eldest sibling? They're the best. I mean, come on. Oh, my sister doesn't like that. She's the youngest sister, so she's needy. But the best kind of needy. All right, so eldest sibling vibes, and he's writing to his brother / cousin, which is not because there's questionable relationships, it's because it's his cousin that has come lived with him for most of their lives. So they're like siblings, but in terms of actual genealogy, they're cousins. Dear Al, I'm terrible at letters. I always write 2 or 3 sentences, then something happens. Like tonight, I found a pencil, but it was dull, so I used my knife to sharpen it. And then I had a pencil, but I couldn't think of anything to say. Dear Albany, except that won't work. What if this is the last letter I ever write and I haven't included Mum or Doris? So, dear Albany and Mum and Doris and Millie, and of course, Michaela just kicked my chair as she walked by, and I'm mad because it's the sort of thing that she'd do, push me, but in an innocent way. So she can just shrug, ask me what my problem is, and walk away with a smirk on her face. It was something you were good at too. Like that time when we were kids and you sneezed into my eggs, claiming it was an accident. And then I had the choice of not eating the eggs, which, given the rationing and the time Mum had spent waiting in line, was not an option. Or eating them. The eggs seasoned with the idea that you'd sprayed them with the contents of your sinus cavity, mucus and pollen and random plastics and dust, ambient viruses. And the latest virus had just unrolled over the city, a creased map with red X's all over it, pre-bag, which meant somehow getting access to the vaccine if there was one and hoping that the virus hadn't mutated since the vaccine was developed. And Mum looking worried, even though she had no idea how far you'd roam in a day, how many alleys you'd deked up and fire escapes you'd shimmied down. She should have been more worried. But your parents were gone, except stepdad Doris, and he was too sad about your Mum's death to notice your antics. And Mum was always waiting in a line somewhere, humming to herself or reading snatches of books over people's shoulders. Sometimes I think she liked waiting in line. Or rather, she liked having a story to tell when she produced the long underwear or the new software. The longer she waited, the better the story. And on top of everything else, I was hungry. I hadn't had eggs for ages, so I'd been especially looking forward to them. And the toast, and I'd been hoping to convince Mum to let me have a cup of coffee. But the entire thing had been sneezed on. And now I'm mad at Michaela and then at you because I just remembered how you grinned like a maniac as you shoveled down your eggs and then mine too. How Millie giggled conspiratorially, that's a weird word, everyone against me. But I try to come back. Okay, I'm rereading your letter. Her name was Claire. She smelled like good fresh sweat because she ran miles and miles every day. She was all muscle. I liked her a lot, and not just because she always had prototypes of the latest weapons tucked in her pants. And so it kind of hurt when I found out she was seeing Mr. Darcy too. He's burly, that's about all you can say about him. I know you're friends, but I figured that was because you needed a bodyguard. After your various schemes to sell porn chips or body armor embedded with porn chips on the black market failed. Well, it's a week later. Sorry, I did say how bad I was at this. And anyways, I don't know when we'll make it to the front. Advanced training, they said, which I can't tell you about, not because I'm worried about the censor. It's mostly because I want to have a secret from you. That's new, eh? I can tell you that it's not advanced parachuting like Granddad, drifting behind all that silk into enemy territory. Bomber jackets lined with maps. Suicide gas in a false tooth. Shit, there's no point in sending this home, is there? I'd need a whole different letter just for Mom and Doris. I'm glad you stayed with them for as long as you did. I'd hoped you'd be able to stay out of the war, but it's gone on too long now. There's no chance. But we're agreed. We have to keep Millie out because she's the best of us all, because she doesn't deserve this. She'd already had to leave university because of the war. I don't think I could handle seeing her broken and remade in the shape of a soldier. And Mom needs someone. The brick then. Be good, cousin. Yours, Kris.
Thank you. Fun fact, Ariel also carries prototypes of the latest weapons in her pants. So there you go. So I neglected to tell you what the book is about. Just a little smidge about the book. I can't believe I did that. I'm old hat at this, but here we go. I think I was just very distracted by the art being created right beside me. So these guys, these amazing, amazing writers, here's Gregory. Gregory is a visionary, a seer, a believer, an otherworld adventurer, don't argue with me, speaker, teller, graphic novelist, podcaster, award-winning artist and illustrator. And these two great minds here have created in Blood Letters an outsized apocalyptic tale of siblings told entirely through letters, sketches, blurted confessions, the poetry of horror, the ache of survival in a world where the fog will eat you if the robots don't kill you. And Greg, I believe you're reading as well?
That's right.
And so please welcome Gregory. I just called you Greg, I'm so sorry. I shall pay for that. Welcome, Gregory.
Up in the rarefied air. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. So for those of you who are unfamiliar with seeing stuff like this happen, the underlying principle beneath it is simple. Ariel and I slowly put words and pictures together, a layer at a time, wondering if it would ever make sense. And we thought, why don't we do that in front of all of you and maybe screw up royally, which is also part of the bookmaking process, is to fail over and over in private and public. And once in a while, the public connects with what you do. You can't always choose when that happens. So here's us making a mess for you. From Albany's journal. Recovered year 4. Gunfire in the dark. The rhythm of it is captivating. The pop, pop, popping of day-bright flashes, like the birth and death of 100 stars all at once around you. Spick, spang, ricochets nearby, Spartans running from ruin to ruin as long-range weapons trade shots. No rockets, no mortars, just the steady staccato of guns and the odd ringing impact of armor, like the sound of children throwing rocks at metal siding. Then the rush roar of a big-bellied beast overhead, the thunder shaking you, the exhaust wash of the flyers in low altitude, stomachs open like mouths, spitting canisters like swears. No explosions, though. They are dropping bombs, but not the kind that go boom. Heavy things the size of coffins land hard, sometimes clanging off the hulks of old vehicles, sometimes crashing into the corpses of houses. Mostly, they burrow their edges into the rain-soft earth with a kind of squelch, more than a thud. Each of the fallen canisters gives off a unified, collective sigh. Gas, hissing like kettle steam from 100 dilations, each canister becomes a rising yellow tower, inflating from within, until some unseen force, perhaps the dawn, causes them to tumble down and fill the liminal territory between each with a churning gaseous soup. It is not poisonous, not in a practical way, because ingestion would kill. The gas is in fact a workforce. Tiny, busy things that take apart an organism one cell at a time. The voracious fog eats it all: flesh, timber, concrete, steel, plastic. The glass it leaves behind, coated in the oily remains of all else, shattered by collapse. In the wake of the fog, there is only the glinting of silicone quartz slivers, thorns in the leveled mire of a steaming man-made bog. No more gunfire. The valley is cleared. On the ridges out of the fog range, the armadillo transports of the theocratic legionnaires rumble to clanking life and lumber on.
Yay!
Our little short pieces. Year 3 from Archivist Millie to Senior Archivist Kuleshov. Kulnikov. That was Ariel's character's naming convention, and as my wife well knows, I can never pronounce anyone's name correctly, ever. From the Board of Causational Physics. Advanced Humanistic Probability. There is no math equation or calculation that an algorithmic intelligence cannot do faster than a person. There is, correspondingly, no basic function that cannot be further complicated by human interaction. Ergo, algorithmic intellect will likely produce correct answers for any situation, but they will not correlate with the decisions a human would make, because humans are not predisposed towards correct action. A variable in diet, mood, or interpersonal relationships can set predictability models wildly askew. For example, mood is a variable that humans have been better at predicting than any machine learners. Seemingly, paradoxically, humans are easier to manipulate than they will ever be to predict. I have one more piece which doubles as my thank you portion, which is, well, fairly self-explanatory, I think. There is nothing noble about war. The nobility comes from the living you must do after it. My own grandfather was better at killing than at being killed. So he fought and he lived through a world at war. His nobility, to me, came from holding on to those things that the war could not change. He was a fisherman and a postal worker, a father and a grandfather. And when his mind was too loud, he was a painter. The family legend says that he discovered painting when a paint by number set he had tried late one night had some paint left over. I believe I know what was meant by late one night. Drinking was not keeping the night terrors away. Sleeping would bring them too dangerously close. But making art is restful, like dreaming. And when you have exhausted yourself, the sleep is often deep. Both are not tave. Sleep well.
Okay, don't go home. This is when the real fun starts, okay?
I got you.
So in a couple of minutes, we're gonna sit and we're gonna have a conversation, and all of those crazy questions in your mind, they were in mine too, and we're gonna find out all the answers. I'm sure that after tonight, you will be dying to see more and read more and hear more from these two. And so I don't know if you realize that Ariel is the current writer in residence at the Winnipeg Public Library. And you can make an appointment and go see her. And I tell you, it's really worthwhile. It's a free service. It's fantastic. Even if you just want to, you know, sit in the room and cry, which sometimes people do. I'll never be a writer. Okay, that was me. That's okay. And of course, Gregory is the host along with Dan. Daniel, is he Daniel?
We call him Dan.
Dan. Yeah, so along with Dan, he is the host of Super Pulp Science, which is a fantastic artistic-based podcast, which you can get wherever you get your podcasts, although it's not on Podbean, just so you know, because that's not where I can get it. So yes, we're going to have a lovely conversation. I hope you will stay. And after we find out a little bit more about these two, you can buy a book and get it signed, like I did.
You're in charge now, Susan.
Okay. Oh, this is my seat.
It is your seat.
I didn't get to see the art.
Well, we are not done yet.
It's not
No,
done.
well, that
Not done
is, I love it. I love the colors.
This is high. There we go. Look, we're the same height now.
Yes. You're not that tall. I have some very important questions to ask. So I think the one that we all have on our minds here is I want to hear the artistic meet cute of these two.
Your mic's over there behind you. That's not gonna work.
Pull it around.
There we go.
That'll work.
Okay.
Make that work. The meat.
Or you could just hold that mic.
No, I'm behind you. No.
He's arting.
Yeah,
That
I'll move that over for you.
Move it over to, yeah, like that.
There we go.
We did it. We did it. What was our meet cute? I think our meet cute, if memory serves, but I think our local archivist, Jonathan Ball, could clarify this. I think it was the Wednesday night writers group at our house is when I first heard someone said, there's this poet Ariel Gordon and she wants to come to this thing that you're doing. And I said, but she wasn't in our original group. And they said, well, that does not matter to Ariel.
It shouldn't matter to you then, should it?
So she is gonna come on Wednesday. I believe that's
I
more or
believe
less
I was actually invited. I didn't just scheme out the details of when it was and show up.
So you said.
So I say,
Just knocking on the window.
yes, hello?
Can I come in?
Yeah.
So what year was this? When was this? Why was I never in on this?
What year was that? 2002? No. 2004, the more reliable archivist, my wife. Tara.
And that was the house on Gertrude.
Yes.
So why was I guess Josh, my son.
That's right.
That's where he met his wife.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
That's Jack and Josh.
That's right. That's a whole other story.
That's a different.
That's
A
so
very
epic.
twisting, turning, thrill a minute, perhaps even more exciting than
They
this.
started dating and then they got married. Calm down.
Thrilling as
Calm
heck.
down. Okay.
And then, I knew John Toon, who was a poet. He was associated with the Alchemical Press. They did like these anthologies. And I worked on it and with them, and I mean, in the most limited ways, so Greg would invite me to sit at Comic-Con at his booth, and I would have my book of poetry or like a chapbook, and he would have booth girls that would like look all good and be dressed like Velma and take pictures with the boys at the Comic-Con. And I would be sitting at the booth like Scooby-Doo.
Not Daphne?
Oh yeah, it was Daphne, sorry, it was Daphne. Anyways, they were Daphne, and they'd be like, oh, can I take my picture with you to the beautiful woman? And I'd be sitting at the booth like this, do you want to buy that poetry chapbook? There's the girl with the dragon tattoo, I was the girl that scowled and didn't murder people. So that and then it went on from there.
But so what not concerns me, but what concerns me is that, you know, I've read your poetry, obviously, and I've read some of your other work, some essays.
Yes.
At what point did you go to the dark side?
I started, my very first writing thing that I ever wrote was a fantasy novel that I wrote from the ages of 13 to 19.
I did not see that one, did you?
It never was published. It was a very thinly veiled portal fantasy where I was sent back to a world where I was truly appreciated.
There's fiction.
Yeah, it was very thinly veiled. It was terrible. But it preoccupied me from like ages 13 to 19. But the problem was I could never move it forward, because at 14 I would rewrite the thing that I'd started at 13. I'd be like, there's some good ideas, but the writing's terrible. And then at 15, I would have to rewrite what the 14-year-old had written. So it was the same thing. I just kept on rewriting the same things, and as my like vocabulary and ability to write sentences improved. And so I never finished it. I kind of want to.
Still not finished.
No, I'd have to make it less. I'd have to add more veils.
I just think of the rewriting you would do now.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh, that 19-year-old is terrible. Although it's funny because if, you know, poets do this thing where they publish like a complete works, right? Like every poem that's ever been published, they collect them in one place. And I get really offended when senior poets go back and edit everything that they wrote as a young person. Like they rewrite basically the whole thing. And so the whole thing reads like it was written this year. Like I want to see, when I read those selecteds, I want to see the journey from those first energetic, but you know, interesting poems, right? To where they are now. And so I really believe in honoring who you were as a younger writer. But in this case, more veils. There'd have to be more veils.
I completely agree with you, because it is much more interesting to the person reading it to see that journey and to see what a good writer you've become, or how your feelings and values have changed and molded.
And I really love the energy of first books, right? Like there's this, like, the reason why they get published at all is because they've got these brilliant, like interesting sparks of stuff. And it's not very organized, it's kind of chaotic, but I love those.
And you chase that high for the rest of your life.
To be fair, you are both projecting. Your novels are well crafted, your books and essays are well thought out, and it's only what you think
The first
others
one,
will find in it. But that
I'm pretty
first
sure
one
we
is
would
solid.
rewrite everything we've written, wouldn't we? If we read it now, it's so cringy. But that energy is absolutely true. Like there's something about, it's a first love, really, when you're writing your first book.
Yeah.
And all of those emotions in a first love are exactly what you get. So you chase that high for the rest of your life. Arm and weave, is that true? Yeah.
yes. And I still really, like today I was like weirdly nervous. You know, and I had that moment where I was like, no one's coming, everyone hates me. And I kept on getting texts from friends saying, I can't come. I'm like, So, you know, like there is still that. And this is a service that I'm going to provide to you. If you ever have a friend who's a writer and you can't go to their launch, text them the day after the launch.
Yeah, say, sorry, I missed it.
Sorry, I couldn't be there. Because then they don't,
There's not quite so much anxiety.
yes,
Yes,
Yes.
because, you know, there's a reason writers write in silence and by themselves, you know, and because we're introverts for the most part, and then all of a sudden, this is performance art. And yes, you want to know that you're supported by a few friendly faces in that.
and look at all your faces, I love all your faces.
Really good looking crowd, really
Yeah.
good looking.
Important to point out that if you're wondering what happened on those Wednesday nights, it's mostly this. We would just talk about how we suffer and then occasionally pass around a draft.
Yeah. And he means writing, not beer, but there was also beer.
There was also beer, yes.
Yeah. Although I'm not, you don't want to add alcohol to this combination and then expect polite things.
See, and I get quieter.
Oh, I get louder. Impossible, you just wait.
Okay, one of the things that I find absolutely fascinating with you is how much time you spend away from your keyboard in the dark of woods. I just want to know what you're doing in there. Please say witchcraft.
I have friends that have come on walks with me in the woods where I go and look for things. And, you know, mushrooms, but also other things like wild plums and hazelnuts and all kinds of things, apples. And it's so funny because I went for a walk with someone and I'd stop every few feet. I'd be like, look, and they'd be like, let me guess, another mushroom. I'm like, maybe, but it could have been a deer jawbone, but it isn't, it's a mushroom. But yes, but Greg is, you know, deep in the woods. He just looks more stylish. I wear the things to launches that I would wear in the woods. And Greg looks like a troubadour in the best sense. But he's also woodsy.
Yeah, look at his running shoes.
Yeah.
Those
Now,
are
not to make
just-
this about my wife again, but I'm often following her into the woods. That is
Yeah.
true, yes.
So Gregory, I have a couple of questions for you too. You know, I've always thought this, I don't know if I've ever said it to you, you are an incredibly generous artist. You are always collaborating with other artists, and I admire that. I'm attempting to write something with my husband now, and his
Who's a
body
playwright?
is
The playwright
sticking out
Vern
the,
Thiessen.
apart. I killed him. I absolutely, I had to. Terrible writing. Oh my God.
He has the Governor General's Award, just saying.
I don't even know how he got that.
Playwriting. There is proof
Terrible.
that, you know. Susie.
And he has 2 degrees.
2 degrees.
So I like the way that this started as a very heartwarming compliment and then pivoted immediately into the murder of your husband.
I got a dark side to me.
That's right.
But you're incredibly generous with, and you're always collaborating, and I want to hear how you get in the zone when you're working with somebody else's zone.
That is a good question. Well, in Bloodletter's case in particular, it was really nice because I didn't know Ariel, like we had known each other sort of in the professional sphere, but writing is a little bit more of an intimate endeavor, and that can be difficult to achieve, period. But one of the things that Bloodletters gave us was the ability to write letters from the voice of a character to a person who then reinterpreted it and then expressed it that way. And so if there was a question I had about something in the previous letter, I'd have to ask it in character. I didn't call or text Ariel and say, oh, what did that mean? We would then write just like a real letter of correspondence, but in the voice of the characters.
I love that.
Yeah, we did very little planning until about 2/3 of the way through, and then we had to start planning.
Yeah.
Because all of a sudden I was like, I don't know what's gonna happen.
Is there an arc?
Yeah, well, and
I
that
was like, I don't know the 3-act structure. Like, I don't write novels. I was like, plot, stupid. So I would have to say to Greg, where do we have to go? And he'd be like, okay, by the next letter, we have to be here. And I was like, oh, I can do that, right? But like, it was like someone showing you the next spot. Like if you were doing something foolish, like walking the Camino, you know you're stopping every night at a particular, not that it's foolish, I saw that one. I'm just saying a very long walk, it's a very long walk.
There's a fun way though of asking leading questions of your collaborator. So you could write a letter, and if I really want to know something, I can just ask a question from the ignorant point of view of the character who doesn't understand something or wishes they saw more or wishes they understood more. And then Ariel will be like, oh, I get it. That's part of the plot. Oh, I should answer that. That's a good idea. And so it would bounce back and forth. But then if it got too plot heavy, she would include elements from the world of her side of the story. You know, bread being baked, or the sound in the streets, or the ink on the fingers, the stuff that made it real, that made it felt like a real place I was writing to. And that really, you know, went a long way to gel the story.
That's beautiful, and that process sounds, in the true sense of the word, a little bit romantic, old-fashioned.
It is,
You know, and it was such a back and forth, which is exactly what you need, obviously, for a book like this.
Yeah.
And what happened kind of organically is that we each included our special skills. So my character happened to be someone that wrote poems as a way to process the war, and his sketched the battle scenes and what was around him. And so those would be in the letters as well.
And then we sort of, what was the word you used? We kind of co-hosted, co-inhabited the character of Millie, who had a sort of, dark is not the right word, had a pragmatic side capable of terrible things. And when that was needed, I would write those parts. And then she also had a very loving, very nurturing, very
16-year-old girl voice. And I wrote that because, as it turns out, Greg is very good at writing robot, military, evil.
I know that.
And I'm not.
Well, you could use poison mushrooms, though.
I could.
Did they come up
There
at all?
There are no mushrooms and there are no trees in this book. I hardly know where I am.
I can't believe it.
I know, it's kind of shocking. I was like, oh, maybe I should have put a tree in there somewhere, but I didn't.
No, don't you remember? I set fire to all the trees early in the draft. Burned that forest to char.
Everything.
One way to push you to grow as an artist.
Yeah,
like there's too much hope in this story. I'll burn it all down.
Yeah, he kept on saying, I keep on trying to make this a dystopian story, and you keep on injecting hope.
Can't have that.
No.
But you kind of have to have it. Otherwise, why is anyone going to stay?
Yeah, I don't do bleakness very well. Like, I want to talk about the things that are hard, and I want to talk about serious things, but it's from a place of like, how can we fix this, or how can we share this and make it easier for us all?
That's the activist in you, I think, and I think that's beautiful. I mean, it's true. Why would you write a story that didn't have an ending that at least made you want to keep living?
Well, and Ariel and I both had the family lore to draw upon. We both had grandparents involved in the war in various capacities. We both had sort of stories that were passed down through the family lore that we also, through researching in archives, found the real versions of those same stories. And they weren't necessarily one-to-one in both our cases. And so that really informed the way that we created a story told in letters, but then arranged the collection so that it is not necessarily chronologically in order, but makes sense to the heart of the characters.
Oh, I like that. That's, but I have to say, you are a wee bit obsessed with the robots and the war.
And the murder.
And the murder. What's that deal? What's your deal with the
murder?
All right. We're gonna talk about it. Might as well talk about it. In all seriousness, in the early days of the internet, I fell into an archive of DARPA test robot footage. And if you want to trace the stuff of Human Nightmare, go looking for all that footage of people figuring out, can we make a robot do everything a person can do? And it's failure after failure. It's very funny, very comical, because they're terrible at it until they aren't. And as soon as they aren't, it's a programmable, copyable skill that you just put in the next one, and it's instantly better. And it just stacks and stacks and stacks. And so
that's terrifying.
Yeah, it's real. It's based on
no
real.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Except it's too late.
Yeah.
My favorite apocryphal story was at one point, I don't know if this is true, I only know this from the early days of the internet when you couldn't, I mean, nobody fact checks anymore anyway, I suppose. But the story was of a forensic robot that was developed to do stab patterns. And DARPA was like, we need that. We need that robot arm and all that programming, and you don't need it for forensic, we need it in our robot. And they bought the patents and they bought all that thing, and it stopped being, it was a German company, the way this story was told. And now it doesn't have that, but their robots certainly do.
And there's a picture of it on our poster table,
That's
of a
right.
robot with a giant cleaver arm.
Oh my gosh, oh, I see it.
Yeah, which you can get if you buy a copy and get it signed by us, haha.
Can I, what's a bigger threat? Stabbing robots, flesh-eating fog, or AI?
I think it's really important not to blame a hammer for a murder. It's people that do
Guns
those
don't
things.
kill people?
No. See, because a hammer you don't blame because it has another use. The bullet you blame the manufacturer for. It only has one purpose.
Yes, it does.
So you have to ask yourself who's making things, why they're making them, and for what purpose are they making them.
And do you really want to make killing easier?
Right.
Well, they did. They
Yes,
wanted to,
yes. The answer is yes, yeah. Mhm.
Remington,
Yes.
that's his name. A close shave and a close shave.
That's right.
And
And I think like all,
talk to us about AI.
well, I was just gonna say, I think all science fiction, I've said this before in other formats and forums, whenever someone gives me a microphone, frankly. Science fiction is not a criticism of the future, it's a criticism of the present day. And you imagine a future so that it's easier to talk about things and set a framework where the rules make sense so that you can say what you wouldn't do, because there's a clear cause and effect between what's happening in the story and what you could stop and then how it would fix it. The real world is much more complicated than that, you know, and you don't,
Getting more and more complicated.
that's right, and you don't need a conspiracy if motivations align. It's as simple as that.
But, you know, I think the main point about AI is that my goal as a person, as a reader, is to watch a mind reach for something, to reach for an idea and grapple with it and turn it around and show it to other people. And that's why I read. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to read it. I don't really want to read imitations
be a writer.
of a person doing that. You know, like I want, and in our case, the flesh-eating fog is terrifying.
Yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah.
As you will see when you read this book, a flesh-eating, I mean, it's, you know, you can get away from it.
Maybe important to point out that when we started our original draft, we thought, oh, we can use all this Eastern European language and we can do all this stuff from my heritage, and we started putting that in, and then war broke out in that part of the world where drones were the main functional killing tool. And we thought perhaps we'll excise the part that makes it seem like it's in a very specific geographic location, whether we have a reason or a quote unquote right to talk about it. It changed what the story meant if we left in those telltale
Yeah.
signs.
But you know, the whole war by drone is not too far
No,
to war by nanite fog,
I mean,
right?
yes.
And then that harkens back to the mustard gas,
Yes.
right? Of the trenches of
And
World War.
napalm,
Yeah, and napalm and all those
and they
things.
keep getting better and better at something, except that, you know, they're bombing regular citizens, not each other, which is what we should.
But we can use that technology for good. Stefan knows this. Our old roommate was part of a scientific study that turned mustard gas technology into infusions that made meat shelf stable.
Oh, so interesting.
So there are, you know, there are ways around what we thought was only good for one thing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah,
mustard's good with sauce.
I do like mustard.
I do too.
My daughter hates mustard and also pizza crust. I don't understand.
I don't like pizza crust either. Where are you?
She
Sisterhood.
will
It's a
never raise her
sisterhood.
hand.
It's a sisterhood.
Mustard. Who likes mustard? Eldest children and mustard. See, everyone likes mustard.
But nothing wrong with mustard.
Yeah.
Ketchup is much more controversial. So start to finish, you guys went, oh, we should write a book, and here we are. What's the time frame?
2017. And then we wrote for a while. We got to a point where we needed to talk about plot, put it down. Other books were calling, shrieking, yelling, deadlines.
Because we weren't writing this with any particular publisher in mind or plan in mind or like grand, like, oh, well, a writer has a plan and a publisher lined up and an issue. None of that. Just for the sheer joy of exploring what a world could be if two people throw things at it.
And it was like the one part of publishing we hadn't done together,
Right. Yeah.
right?
Throw
Like,
things at each other, or?
oh, well, we'd done that actually, but no, write together, because we had sold books together, we had been in a writing group together.
We done poetry stuff together.
done poetry
Yeah.
stuff together. So yeah, like been in a salon together. Like writing seemed to be the obvious last
The
thing.
next step,
Yeah.
the last step.
And it started in that hallowed early days of 2017 internet where you could post something and say, hey, I'm looking at doing something creative. Anyone else? And you might answer, and then you use the internet not to shit on each other, but just to do creative
Make
stuff.
things.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
real wild. It
And
was a
then
wild
I
time.
don't remember.
a couple years later, I was at the Prairie Comics Festival. Who here goes to the Prairie Comics Festival? Because you should if you don't already. It's excellent. It just happened
I
in
haven't
September.
heard about the Prairie Cup.
Oh, well, they've all heard about it. They're all in the know. And I was walking around because my other publisher, at Bay Press, was there and they had my book, so I was there. And all of a sudden, through the crowd, Greg goes, "Our book! I found our book on my phone!" And so he insisted that we start working on it again. And so we did. And then we put it down again.
And I don't remember who I was talking to, but I was talking to someone about the importance of collaborating with no plan.
Yes.
And then you walked by, and I believe in the context of that conversation, I said, yeah, Ariel and I made a book. We made a book. I bet I can find that book. And I opened my Google Docs. I was like, oh shit, we have a book. There it is.
Was it finished?
We should
No,
finish it. It was
no.
pretty close
It-
though.
yes.
Yes,
The end go
that's the
fast?
answer.
It usually goes fast. And
The end
it's
went a lot
just
faster
right
than the
now.
beginning,
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
that was stupid.
right? Because we.
And in the
no-
meantime,
Where's the
Greg
publisher? We had no
created
choice.
2 books in our universe.
Without knowing it, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like he took a character class from our book and created 2 other books, which Great Plains published.
Automatic Age and Backbone of Night contain the autovolts and these automatic,
Death robots.
well, no, they're Android, they're misunderstood. They're misunderstood.
So many death robots
But
are.
when we went through the early draft, we found reference to these autos and these autovolts in that early draft that I had completely forgot about writing at that time. And so it was just like in there. And so if you're a completist, technically this work is related, but it's not from there or really about that story. It's more like
Yeah, I'd say
Happened on the
vastly
same
different
planet.
time
happened on the
Yeah.
same.
spans. But yeah. Yeah, which is kind of fun. It has like half siblings. Our book has half siblings. Second cousins
like
twice
our-
removed.
Like our characters do.
I think that's very cool. That's very cool. I love worlds, when you create a world and then you get to repopulate it each time I've done the same. I've dropped, Easter eggs in books, implying something from another book of mine.
For the constant reader.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, for you, like for just, to
Just for
entertain-
Gregory.
No, to
Personally?
take- No, not,
You heard it here first.
to entertain yourself.
Yeah, actually, I think it's important to entertain yourself, like to do things that make you happy, that make you
Oh,
giggle in books.
Absolutely.
I mean, if you can, why
Even
not?
if, throw in a few jokes that don't fit there and let the editor take them out.
Just to
What's
see
this
if they're
doing there?
reading.
We just talk a bit about that.
Okay, so who's your editor? Give a shout out.
You have to go to the mic for this to work, Gregory.
Samantha Vico for a little while first.
That's right, Samantha. Is she here?
No,
Oh,
she's just coming home
that's
from
right, she
France.
is in France.
Yeah, terrible.
Another incredible, another Winnipeg treasure, I'll tell you. Okay, so what was that like? She's editing 2 of you.
Yeah. And
She
she
gets
knows
some
us
sort
both
of an
well enough
award.
to not take our nonsense at all.
She likes my nonsense better than your
She
nonsense.
does, actually, she really does. But Samantha Vigo was my managing editor on Midnight City, and I owe a large portion of my career to the fact that she helped shape those books to find the audience that they did.
She's also a graphic novelist.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
an editor and
Right.
And a novelist novelist.
runs Prairie Comics Festival,
She's-
multiple books.
So
Of
someone,
course, and
this
that's
book
the
needed
force.
someone who understood words and pictures together and non sequitur relationships between, we weren't creating the archive again in a linear narrative, but in an emotional one. So there are interruptions of images that we needed someone who understood that part to say, oh yeah, I feel that from this, that matches the scene or takes us in a different place.
And for me,
She
like
knew
I
that, for
only have so far written text things. And so it was interesting to edit this because we were editing in InDesign and it felt like collage, right? versus like a.
Did you sit with her and edit or?
Well, no, she edited separately, but then Greg and I would go sit, I spent like 3 full days sitting in his office with my computer, and I would tell him things and he would judge the file.
Yeah. Well, and a poet, right, is, if I can, feel free to, if I
Tell you you're wrong.
grossly, mischaracterize the act of writing a poem. But space and time are also very important in where word is placed in a poem. And so Ariel has a lot of practice and thought and process and meaning behind why there's a line break. And so if some ham-fisted designer comes along and bumps it, right, then there's a reason to move it back and leave a space and have it hang a little off center. It's not an error, it's an intention.
Yeah.
And so we needed to do that in this, because any page might have, 40 elements floating on it. And so we'd have to nudge this over here to push that over here. I don't think we ever said the word palimpsest more than while working on this book.
I mean, when you combine media like that, when you have, poetry, fiction, essay, personal letters, somehow that creates an intimacy that a straight up read just doesn't do. It's almost like sitting in on somebody's desk and seeing what they've been working on for a while. Did you find it hard, because that is so intimate, did you find it hard to let go of these characters?
Be honest, Ariel.
My sister has told me, she got it a couple of weeks ago and read it, and she's like, when is the next one coming?
Oh, how lovely, what a good sister.
But
The youngest?
Yes. We just finished it, and it was definitely like a really interesting and different process, and I really loved it, and I feel very connected to the characters. I'm proud of them, which is the weirdest thing. And maybe because I haven't ever written, a finished or a novel as an adult. Like it's different. I'm still figuring out my relationship to the characters. How do you do it?
You know what, I think that they're still there. They're all still in my head. And every now and then they'll pop in and I'll think, ooh, do I have a place for you? Another place for you. And
I just imagine they're already rotten and skeletal.
His answer is to the question is, are we here on a sequel? He's like, oh,
No,
didn't we
they're
tell
dead.
you? They're all
They
dead.
died already.
There was a bomb. Did you miss the bomb in the last chapter?
I'll share an unkind story that I sometimes, this will definitely call out a specific individual who I hope never sees this video. They said, oh, when are you doing the sequel? I said, oh, well, because the bomb at the end of it, there's no more sequel. And they said, all right.
There is no bomb.
Right, which means they didn't read it.
They were trying to
They're
pretend
trying to be supportive,
that
and
they
I
had read it.
appreciate that part, I guess. I appreciate that part.
what I want to ask is, how many writer friends does that person have? Because you got to read them all.
I know it is a burden.
It's
Yeah, it
a
is
bit
a
of a
burden.
burden. Okay, it is 8 o'clock. I'm going to get some final words from you two, and then I think people would like to have their book signed.
We can do that.
Unless there is,
Oh, unless there's questions.
Yeah, we have
Let's
5
let's
minutes.
open up the floor here.
Daniel, are we being presumptuous?
No, this is great.
Okay, if you have a question, you can put your hand up.
Unless you're Ariel's daughter, who never puts her hand up.
She wouldn't, no.
She wouldn't. Anybody, come on, monsters, robots, killer fog.
We have somebody
Oh.
over here.
No,
Oh, sorry.
You just ignored Jonathan Ball, another Canadian icon. Oh,
No, you have to.
sing it.
No. Am I your favorite sister?
I have so many sisters. You're one of my favorite sisters.
You're talking about witches, right? Jonathan had a
Actually, I
question.
have a pile of actual sisters. A pile.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah. There's 5 of us.
For Ariel.
They're not dead.
Ariel Jonathan has a
What?
story, has a question.
What? There's no corpse pile, I promise.
Well, that was my question.
Is there a corpse pile somewhere?
No, we all know there's a corpse pile. What do you think about writing science fiction? Like, how do you enjoy it or like it, or what do you what is experience compared to how you thought it might be?
That is a good one.
It's funny because we all write and publish in our own genres. And sometimes those genres, the fans of those genres don't often read in other genres, or writers of those genres don't often go, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
sometimes we stay in our own groups, and, but it's shocking. I wrote and published 4 books of poetry, and then I started writing nonfiction, and it felt the same to me, except for the length. You know, like, it was longer. I was like, why is there still more of this essay? Like, oh my God. Like, because I was
Does this
writing,
woman ever shut up?
I know, well, I was writing 5,000 word essays, and you know, that's like 19 pages, and I'm like scrolling. You're like, oh, this is hateful. But aside from that, it felt really the same. And in a weird way, even though this is what it is, murder robots, killer fog, you know, predictive, causational thingies, it feels the same. It feels like it's all the same skills. I don't know.
What about the genre change, like from poetry to science fiction?
I have been hanging around the graphic novel and science fiction and fantasy folks for 20 years. So, and I read kind of all over the place. Like, I read novels, and I read nonfiction, and I read poetry, and I read sometimes mysteries and science fiction and fantasy. So maybe I'm just too, I don't know, it all feels, I don't know. Because I had Greg to help me maybe with some of the fantasy and sci-fi, the speculative fiction things that I wouldn't necessarily have, the genre markers.
I have a few specific examples of Ariel saying, oh, well, don't we need to know this about the world? Shouldn't we build the world up more? And I would just say, no, you don't. She's like, oh, we can just not tell people why the world is like that? I say, yeah.
Well, it'll
That's it, yeah, it'll
It'll
unfold.
yeah.
If it's important, they'll look again. And the more often the characters look at it, the more we'll understand it. And then we'll know also. But if they wouldn't look that hard, we don't have to either. That's sort of how the world is, unfortunately.
As long as there's an understanding, and particularly because this is a collaboration, as long as there's an understanding of what the world is.
We had the luxury of illustration, though.
Yes,
So
yeah.
you have a way to really cement what is metaphor and what is simile and what is just,
Yeah, you can get right in.
yeah.
Did we have another question? I thought I saw somebody twitching in their seat because they just want to get their damn book signed and go home. Was that a twitch I saw? Oh, no, I saw 2 people.
Okay, so I want to know how to get invited on Wednesday night.
I don't think you do it anymore.
Well, we do different things. Wednesday night right now is my gaming night. My first best love is role-playing games, and so we do that Wednesday nights. But for a longest while, we did 13 horrors. So just the hour before midnight on the 13th of every month, we get together with writers and brainstorm a horror story.
You didn't get invited either?
I didn't.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to be completely overshadowed by probably is
Yeah,
what it
sure,
was.
we'll go
No,
with
you
that.
lived in a different city.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. I didn't live here.
Yeah, don't, oh, you know.
But you know, Greg, it does seem to be that somebody should start that up again, I'm just
Right,
saying.
but
No,
if
no,
you're
no.
looking for that creative group, on Wednesdays.
Yeah.
Prairie Comics Festival has an open studio day where people come to work on stuff sort of together alone. And so people will be working on comics or poetry or screenplay drafts, and it's a big, wonderful open space. If you look up Prairie Comics Festival, the Wednesday night comics come in, there is a vibrant and wonderful and loving and sharing community that you can
And they will not
jump on in.
check whatever, they won't check your genre at the door.
Yeah, just come in.
Don't have to
Bring your
show
knitting,
ID.
like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter, just come and be with people.
We had another lovely question asker back there.
Do you think there's a difference between telling a story out and kind of telling a story forward?
Whoa, telling it out and telling it forward. What a great question.
I feel like that's a plot question, you
well-
should answer it.
Okay. I think the illustration gave me the ability to tell the story outward without having to tell any of the story. You could just see it. You'd see an ad or an element and go, oh, that must therefore be this part of the world. And then the letters were how we told the story forward. But that's a great thought, because it occurs to me that in comics, which are space for time, you have that, oh, we're gonna talk about this more. We're gonna talk
Are
about
you
this
a
more.
writer?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Out.
that was a writer question.
Yeah, we're going out tonight after this. Where are we going? Are we going across the street? We're going across the street. I want to talk to you and I want to talk to you across the street after this
What's
event.
across the street here?
There's,
Fins.
yeah, there's some, don't give
Oh.
them an ad. They don't need the ad. They're a chain restaurant. They don't need the help. But we'll go there and we'll be there. We can all talk together and share some ideas. That'd be great.
Lovely. So let's give a hand to these guys. They're just amazing. Ariel and Gregory. It was extraordinary piece of did it on the fly art.
Detritus is the word you're looking for.
I like it. And you've got a new session, which seems to be women's faces.
You know what? I just draw Tara.
Yeah.
When I'm really
Aw,
trying,
that's why they're
I
all
just
so
draw
beautiful.
Tara. I just draw Tara.
Tara is Gregory's wife.
Yeah.
Partner, better
Yeah, in
wife.
case anyone was wondering about the wife I mentioned, and then if I shouted out a different woman. No, Tara is the wife I mentioned.
Same wife.
Thank you, Melissa.
Same wife from the stories.
That's right.
Yeah, same wife, no
Yeah.
different wife. Okay, so thank you all so much for coming and get yourself a book and get in line.
And you can have a poster
Don't all
from the
rush.
book.
Free posters, and you can feel free to take down any of the ones we hung up in the gallery. So if there's one you want, it's yours. Try not to fight another person for it.
Yeah, there's lots to go
That's
around.
not the point of the story. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you, McNally Robinson, for having us.
Thank you.